and hadn't gone to one of these in a while, they would go. On the outside, it looks kind of culty, you know?
There is some Kool-Aid there for sure.
But if you're trying to create a really strong culture, then you have to be a little culty.
Yes.
Almost by definition. I think like cult comes from
culture.
The idea of
culture comes from cult. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so you'd go there, you'd be drinking all the Kool-Aid, and then they would ask you to do wild shit. And
it was not that wild.
No, it was pretty much like them going through the isms and then just explaining the culture of Rocket, what they expect, but then also just like immersing new people in the ideas so that way they just knew how to conduct themselves. And he's talked about how powerful culture is, and how at the heart of it, it's the identity of the organization, but it's also the identity of the people. And when people know who you are, and when people know what the culture is, how that can lead to fast decision making that's in line with the ideals and the values of the culture.
Yeah. When everyone's on the same kind of spot and they're all rowing together to get to that destination, that's what he was trying to set up, and dropping you kind of.
Those up.
We back.
Yo, we are back with another Founders Drive. Yes, we are live.
We are live.
We are out here getting it. Hey, man, so actually, for anybody that's new to Founders Drive, on Founders Drive, we basically talk about what drives founders that have been successful, and we take those lessons, try to apply it to what we're doing, and just make it open for anybody else to benefit from. So
I like it.
Today we will be talking about Dan Gilbert, the Detroit hometown hero. But before we get into that, maybe we'll talk a little bit about Constance updates, and and then we get into the meat of the show. So
yeah, I think like this week on Constance, the two big things that I kind of want to just touch on here. One is that we are getting together that pitch deck that we've been going over and over and over.
Oh yeah, pitching. Yep.
Like that has been like just a great exercise in learning how to frame an idea, communicate the idea in a way that, has a very specific, format.
Mm-hmm.
But going through that exercise, I feel like it's been super helpful, getting feedback on our thoughts that way, and just kind of advancing our ideas with other people, kind of, stress testing them.
Yeah,
has been hella nice.
I think a big thing is it's like an iterative process. Like it is a process that
right.
Even when you've done it before, I mean, we've gone through pitch competitions before, pitched ideas before, it's even talked about ideas before, but it's one of those things where it always helps to get feedback and refine until you ultimately present.
Yeah.
And so this has like been an exercise in that, and it's been really cool to, to partake in that stuff. But some other stuff with the actual product Constance. Constance is just it's a platform for digital entrepreneurs, and we help digital entrepreneurs sell digital products and services, facilitating the payments, and then also provide productivity tools for creators and entrepreneurs to get their ideas down, refine them, organize them, because we believe that that's at the heart of any successful creative or entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so with that, some of the product updates I think are like bug fixes, of course, like continuously refining that.
Sure.
Support, like that's a big thing that we're really locking in on over these next couple of weeks, is just making it really easy for people to pick up the tools, use them. And so if you try them out, take a look, let us know in the help communities that we have on there of anything that might not be clear, and we'll make it our best effort to update that and make it just a better product week to week. So
yeah, I'm also really excited to start giving some sneak previews of some of this tech we're working on.
Ooh.
Specifically maybe a mobile app.
Yeah, a little bit. That is around the corner. But yes, that is something to look forward to, and we'll give more information on that
in future episodes.
Yes.
So yeah, but
so stick along.
Exactly.
Also, as we're talking through this, if you find that you have an entrepreneur in mind or a founder in mind that you want us to do a little bit of digging on. I can't promise it because we have a backlog, but leave it in the comments. Let us know. And if you take away a lesson or if we missed something, then also let us know, because this is like an open learning exercise.
Yeah, communication.
Yeah.
Love that.
Cool. So why don't we jump into it?
Let's jump into
the big
Dan
dog
Gilbert.
DG.
Yes.
Big dog DG.
Yes, and obviously a hero of ours because we are in Detroit. You know, we're here. We have also worked for his companies.
He's definitely made a huge impact on the city.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, his story kind of goes back to, with Detroit, goes back to the fact that he was born here.
Native.
Born and raised here. He went to Southfield Lathrop High School, which is right outside of Detroit, and went to Michigan State, Wayne State, where he got his bachelor's, but then he got his Juris Doctorate at Wayne State. And so he has a lot of ties to the city. If we fast forward a little bit, it's not a surprise that they ended up relocating and coming back into the city and being part of the revival and this new era of Detroit.
Bringing it back,
Yeah, but he's definitely rooted and tied in the city. Started businesses at a young age. I read that he was delivering pizzas or something like that when he was like 12.
He was a pizza delivery person, yes.
And that also supported him through his high school and collegiate career. But again, very rooted in the city, and I think that's a big reason why he ended up finding his way back and investing so much, not just in the businesses, but then in other ventures that you could just look around and see.
Yeah, his portfolio now is quite massive in terms of the different companies, the different products, just the different people that he's invested in.
Yeah.
But getting to that point is not easy.
No.
You know, not easy at all.
No.
I guess you did a little bit more research on like when he founded Rock Financial.
Yeah, so and also just as an overview, this is actually where Jake and I basically met. Working at Rocket in like 2017, 2016.
Yeah.
And yeah, so but like taking it back a little bit, he founded Rock Financial in 1985 at 22 years old. And he did that with his brother and a couple other co-founders. In the 1990s is when they started leveraging technology and the internet to go direct to consumer. And that changed the game. I mean, even in interviews today, he talks about how he views Quicken, Rocket, formerly Quicken, as a technology company that does mortgages.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of truth in that, because that technology aspect coupled with the banking service is what allowed them to deliver the product that we see today.
Yeah, I think that's been multiple iterations of the product that we see today.
Yeah.
One of the major iterations I remember, because they talk about it so much, especially when you work there, is the mortgage in a box, where they would ship every single thing you would need to get a mortgage in a box to your house. You'd sign all the paperwork, you'd ship it back, and you'd essentially be done. Something that was completely radical at the time, because you have to spend a day, 2 days in a mortgage banker's office, having to sign paperwork and go through all of the income verification, all that fun stuff. He was like, no, we can do this better.
Yeah.
And it's evolved over time, but that was, I know, one of the big milestones of innovation that they had, and they still talk about it today.
Yeah, one thing that we'll be getting into a little bit is his isms.
Yes.
Which are it's basically like lines of game that he's developed and that he introduces to anybody that works at his place, to basically like orient in like just, it's the culture distilled.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about this whole mortgage in a box, what that reminds me of is this idea of being obsessed with finding a better way.
Yeah.
Which is one of these lines of game, one of these isms that he's distilled and has made part of the culture. So, but before peeking ahead too far, and going back to some
90s.
of the highlights, the 90s.
90s were huge.
Like. Yeah.
Because I think, honestly, that's kind of where I think another big milestone was. I think in '99 he sold the company to Intuit.
Okay.
And that was, I think, a $370 million sale that put him into a spot where he never had to work another day in his life. Like, he would have been fine retiring there in the, you know, at the turn of the 2000s, and he could have just walked away completely. But he didn't. A couple of years later, he ended up buying the company back. The exact same company, the exact same thing that he sold to them for like $64 million.
Yeah, I saw him talking about that, and he was like, it's so strange because we sold it in 1999, 2000, and it wasn't as profitable, and we sold it for a lot more. And then he was like, 2 years later, we bought it back, and it was way more profitable, and we bought it for way less.
Yeah.
But he went into it a little bit, and he was saying that the people at Intuit didn't like, they were kind of changing things, taking things in a different direction. I think moving away from the directs to the direct lending. And then there was also just some management stuff, and they came back and said, hey, we don't really want to continue to run it. Would you be interested in buying it back? He got a private group of people to make that purchase and get it back. But I think you're right. It's like there was so much that they gained monetarily off of those two deals that it put him in just a different bracket. And it's also interesting because like almost a couple years after that, he ended up buying the Cavaliers in 2005 for $340 million, right
around there. Yeah,
and that was the most for an NBA franchise at the time, so it was record setting. But there's a parallel there between that and Mark Cuban.
That's true.
And we covered Mark Cuban a couple episodes prior, but he's also I mean, obviously we know who Mark Cuban is, but he's a billionaire who, once he got his big bag, he said, all right, I'm about to go and buy an NBA franchise. And he did it. So like, it was right around the same time too. I believe he got into the Mavericks
early 2000s, right?
Early 2000s. Yeah. I was gonna say like 2004, maybe 2006, but it's right around when Gilbert purchased the Cavs.
Yeah, that was instrumental too, and stuff that we'll talk about kind of in the downtown Detroit office. You know, being influenced by some of those decisions and his style. But the whole buying it back, I think it's also like talking to his character. He was like, no, like, I still believe in the mission that I set out to do when I founded this company, and if you guys aren't going to achieve that mission, then I'll do it myself. Same thing with Detroit, right? It's like, there's probably people that are helping with Detroit, but they're not doing it. I can do it better, and I have that vision to go help Detroit, so I'm going to go do it myself.
There's like the I don't know if this is an ism, but it's the impact and the outcome. That's in an interview that I saw with him. It was a big thing in terms of the whole opportunity Detroit and helping revitalize Detroit was just a big draw, was people that want to impact the outcome. He talked about people that from different cities who would go to big cities, and you might get paid a lot, but you don't see your results actually manifesting in the work that you're doing.
Exactly.
And so in Detroit, that was a big draw for a specific type of person, a gritty person that wants to see their work show up in their environment around them.
Yeah, absolutely huge. So fast forwarding a little bit, in the journey, he's done, like we said, hundreds of businesses. I mean, he had a casino at one point. I know the whole like Fathead. We used to see Fatheads everywhere. The Cavs.
They used to give those out at Rocket. Everybody had a Fathead, and they would be right in front of their desk. I never got one.
No, me neither. Yeah. I think it was kind of winding down when we joined the company.
Well, no, I don't know. Because I feel like there was opportunities for us to get them, but we never did, and I'm a little upset about it right now.
It was like a once-a-year thing. They would be like, "Hey, we're doing a photo shoot. Bring your head in, and we will we'll turn it into this."
And we'll give you a fat head.
Exactly.
We'll turn your fat head into a fat head. But no, there was like a lot of excitement there. One thing that is not often talked about is his connection to StockX.
Exactly.
Which is like a really dope business. But actually, before you even get there, I think it's worth highlighting how they moved into the city
Mm-hmm.
in 2007, and then they made that pledge to say, hey, we're going to be moving all of our employees by 2010 into the city.
And they did.
And for those that are unaware, that was around the 2008 fiasco, and Detroit was really hit hard, and so a lot of people fled the city. And to be the person that was one of the first movers,
Step up.
was huge, and I think we're still seeing the results of that today.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's one of the biggest philanthropists in the area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, making an actual difference in the communities around there.
But I mean, even just the landscape of Detroit wasn't what it is today. I would imagine that if you're watching this and you're not in the city, that you probably still have that idea in your head of Detroit, what it was like in 2008. I've told this story on this podcast before, but back then, it was just not. It was not
different.
What it is today in terms of safety, in terms of just being able to walk around,
cleanliness and stuff,
and be comfortable in activity and energy. I was at a festival, and I was walking in front of the Renaissance.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I was with a friend, and we were walking beside each other.
Yep.
I heard a little commotion behind me. He was like a couple paces behind me. I turned around, I caught a fist to the face, and I was like out for like a good 30 seconds to a minute, just like completely delirious. The guys ran off, heard gunshots like a block away, and my friend was like just gushing blood. So there was a lot of people that were like, oh, that guy needs a lot of, attention and care, and moved everybody inside. And then we ended up going to the hospital, where he was looked at and treated for some lacerations or cuts. I found out the next day that my jaw was broken. But you couldn't see that. It wasn't bloody. So yeah, like that was Detroit back then. Now I make the joke that you have like white girls walking their dogs at like midnight.
Yeah, all the time.
And you're like, oh, okay, well, this is a lot more comfortable. This is a lot more safe.
Yes.
But I think in all seriousness, it's a testament to just the growth of the city and people stepping up and saying, no, we're going to invest in the city, and how important an investment is to see change. It's like sometimes we want change, but we're not
the ones to put the money up or the time or the energy to do so. And it's funny because he not only owns that headquarter building, he owns a lot of buildings down there. And I know when they moved kind of back to the city, he tried to get other people to help him invest and revitalize the city. Most of the investors would not put a single dollar in. So he ended up paying cash for a lot of those buildings way back when, just because like none of the banks would approve it. They're like, no, like it's way too risky. But I think he saw the opportunity and also had a lot of passion for, revitalizing the area.
He also got some pretty good deals.
Exactly. But I think that's part of it too.
Part of the deals that he was able to negotiate were reflective of the fact that he was the main person that was willing to take that leap. But since then, people have followed suit. There's been a ton of investment in terms of Ford Motor Company investing more directly into the city. You see the train station, and again, a lot of dubs, a lot of wins. If you've been to the city, especially recently, you immediately realize that it doesn't match up with the
hysteria
that was there 10, 15 years ago.
The perception that people have. I mean, we had a whole new LCA come in, like the Little Caesars Arena. The Illiches are doing great in terms of bringing like the sports centers back and like really making it a good place to hang out and just to like, and also to work. It was a fantastic place to work.
This is kind of a segue, but going back to the whole investment thing, and the idea that you have to sometimes take action before you could actually see the results of what you're trying to create, is I think it also speaks to just the venture capital in the Midwest, specifically in Detroit. We've talked about this a couple times, but it's here, a lot of people, like the culture at large in the tech space, needs to see results. We talk about how seed investors are really like Series B investors over here. In terms of the criteria that they're looking for. Whereas on the coasts, especially on the West Coast, it's much more, hey, I understand the idea and I can invest in trust that we're going to be able to create.
Exactly.
And then, so being that lead investor always takes guts. I think it also takes knowledge and an intuition to be able to know, okay, when I put these resources down, it's going to create opportunities, and it's going to allow me to reach the vision that I want to actually create. Scared money don't make no money.
That's true.
And I don't see that in the way that he navigates and goes about business. But I think it also speaks to his philosophy on what it means to be an entrepreneur, which is largely about building and creating. He talks about this itch that just never goes away. And again, I think that just orientation holds together not only his actions and his accomplishments, but also other philosophies that he talks about.
Yeah, no, I think we saw that when we were there too. You know, there's a big emphasis on the whole execution, or ideas are rewarded, execution is worshipped.
Yeah.
You know, that's another one of those isms that kind of comes to mind.
Yeah, why don't we jump on some of these isms here?
I think we should, because that shows some of the culture and the mindset that he has that you were talking about.
Yeah, and I'll like throw some out, and then maybe we break them down. We talk a little bit about them, and there's like 19 of them, so I don't know if we get through all of them. Maybe we go through some of them here, and then some of them is super secret.
Sure.
You can find them online, but you know they'll just be like the letters there. But he like they would give away a book at
every year
at Rocket. Come up with a new updated book with examples about all of these different isms that we're about to break down, and they had examples in there of what they mean by it. And then on top of that, every quarter they would have was it every quarter
for what,
where they would have those mission FOCs?
Oh, there was a couple of those. I don't know if it was every quarter or not. Maybe it was like maybe a little bit more spread out than that, but yeah, they had it was basically like a culture refresher,
though, right? Yeah, and it was always for all the new. Yeah, it might have been like biannually, but it was semi-annually. But but it was for all of the new employees, and then everybody that was there and hadn't gone to one of these in a while, they would go. On the outside, it looks kind of culty, you know.
There is some Kool-Aid there for sure.
But if you're trying to create a really strong culture, then you have to be a little culty.
Yes.
Almost by definition, I think like cult comes from
culture.
The idea of
culture comes from cult. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so you'd go there, you'd be drinking all the Kool-Aid, and then they would ask you to do wild shit. And
it was not that wild.
No, it was pretty much like them going through the isms and then just explaining the culture of Rocket, what they expect, but then also just like immersing new people in the ideas, so that way they just knew how to conduct themselves. And he's talked about how powerful culture is, and how at the heart of it, it's the identity of the organization, but it's also the identity of the people. And when people know who you are, and when people know what the culture is, how that can lead to fast decision making that's in line with the ideals and the values of the culture.
Yeah, when everyone's on the same kind of spot and you're all rowing together to get to that destination, that's what he was trying to set up. And dropping you kind of into that world is really important to do as soon as you can in your career, because people will actually use those terms almost every day.
Yeah,
they'll actually use those terms, some ways in good, some ways in bad, to communicate ideas that are happening inside the business. And so knowing these isms and the way the culture works is super important.
Yeah, and he would, like, when we first got there, I don't know why that happened. Like, he wasn't giving the mission FOCs directly.
The isms day speech.
Yeah, but he would, like, especially when he was more active in the business, would be there at all of these events, giving them himself, like talking about them himself.
Yep. I attended one that he did.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
towards the later part. Yeah.
I think unfortunately he had a stroke and couldn't attend some of these.
Yeah.
But I think he wanted to be as involved as he could be. I think now he's getting back into doing it, but it's not the whole event. It's like, a portion of the event.
Yeah. There's actually some really cool things that happen there. But let's jump into this list. And break this down. So the first one that I have here is always raising your level of awareness.
That's great. Just basic level of advice to any scenario you're in, right? No matter what you're doing, raising your level of awareness is always going to help you. You can't just stick your head in the sand and expect you to have, some revelation that's gonna, help you out. You got to actually be intentional about raising your level of awareness. So I like that one.
Yeah. Raising your level of awareness, I think, ties really neatly into some of our conversations that we've had about observation.
Yeah.
And how when you are intentional about developing your observational skills, you get better at finding relevant information. But it also is like the world reveals more to you the more intentional you are about becoming aware.
Right.
And so on the front of it, it's, yeah, don't be ignorant. But another part of it is the idea that it enhances your experience.
Right.
In whatever you're doing. Like, raising your level of awareness, I think, can be looked at as a skill. And if you look at it as
100%.
a skill, then it's something where you can just get better. It's not just a command where it's just do it. It's more, you know,
and in the startup space, raising your level of awareness is really simply just talking to your customers.
Yeah.
Finding out what their pain points are so that you can then build something that they want, instead of just being like, yep, this is what they want, without talking to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a good one.
So there's a lot there. And what else is there in terms of like awareness? It's like opportunities in like the startup space. It's not just talking to your customers. I think that's a great place to start because those are the people you interact with. But in terms of opportunities, actually this leads into the next one, which is like the inches. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
Yeah.
So
I remember these for some
for some reason, because we worked there and people would there's this term ism dropping where people would like clearly use the word like the ism in a self-serving way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Weaponizing the culture is something that you do have to be, careful about.
Mm-hmm.
Just the same way that people can weaponize cults, right?
Yeah.
Is you have to be really cognizant of that. And they just recently went through an entire kind of culture reorg where they asked all the leaders, like, do you still believe in all the isms? Some of those answers, they were like, some of them, they were like, no. Like, some
Did
of
they
them,
get rid of any?
They did get rid. No, they didn't get rid of them. They combined some of them. So the newest list that'll come out, I think it might already be out online. They just combined some of them into like an overarching idea that kind of covers all of those bases.
Gotcha. So we might not have the most updated list, but there's still
a great list.
Things to take away from it. Yeah, but the inches are around here. The awareness thing, this builds off of the awareness one.
Yeah.
Specifically because you can miss things right under your nose.
Yeah.
It's like the whole missing keys thing, where you could put your keys down on a table, but if your brain isn't focused on, like, if you're more in your head and you're not actually aware of your surroundings, you can miss it. And you could be looking around, tear the whole house up. You ask your partner and say, where are my keys? And they're like, oh, they're on the table. And you're like, I swear I've looked there. And then you go there and you're like, there are my keys.
Right.
And then you start thinking, are these people screwing with me, or like what's happening here? But yeah, man, it's like, it's a simple thing, but again, when we work on becoming more aware, things start to reveal themselves to us, and they're usually just right around us. But there's also this other aspect of it where there's always something that we can be doing, and advancement is a game of inches.
Yeah.
And so recognizing that we don't have to go across the world to find that one thing that we need to do that's going to make us better is simple, but it's powerful.
Yeah, to me, it's like you said, getting that 1% better, right? It's a game of advancement. Getting that little bit better, even if it's just inches, is going to over time compound to a spot where you're going to be way ahead of your competition.
Yeah.
But the other thing that sticks in my head about this ism is the fact that you don't have to go out, like you said, to the other corner of the world to find an expert in your problem. The people that understand the problems and probably have a really good solution are within the team, are within the company already.
Yeah.
It's all about looking for those people and finding those instead of, pontificating away from the things that are right in front of you.
Yeah. Cool. Let's get this rolling.
Yeah.
What do we have here? Responding with a sense of urgency is the ante to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty basic, right? Like anything that is worth doing is worth doing well. Mm-hmm. And so doing it well means you're going to respond with a sense of urgency, especially in a transaction like mortgages, where it's the biggest financial transaction a person's probably ever going to make.
Yeah.
Yeah,
being ready and available is huge. And the way that you talked about it in that context feeds into the next one, where it's every client, every time, no excuses, no exceptions.
Yeah.
And so, like, we can get really distracted in terms of thinking that products and profit are the main things about business. But unless we put people first, then there's no way for transactions to be able to be made.
Right.
There's people on every side of a transaction. And so recognizing how important that is completely crucial.
Yes,
So,
it is crucial. However, that is also one of the ones that was the most weaponized. Because you would find, it's business, right? So you'd still find maybe a section of customers that are underserved, or, you know, that we would want to maybe pivot away from towards our more ideal customer. And somebody might make that comment, oh, but every client, every time. It's like, yes, and when they are communicating with us, that's exactly how we want to handle it. But we are still a business at the end of the day. So like, we can't necessarily help people who have a 300 credit score.
yeah.
You know, get approved for a house where they just can't afford that. He has other programs to help those people, and so in that vein, it's like helping that client. But that doesn't mean that every client's gonna get a mortgage, right? That's like the way that people used to weaponize.
I think there's like a difference between client and like a lead.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And so the lead might not qualify, but if they do qualify, then they do become a client, and you do have to attend to that. But to your point, I think that there is something to be said about qualifying, because Rocket is like, they are all about the qualifying.
Yeah.
When we were making virtual assistants there, a lot of it was qualifying and then putting people in the right
lead
paths.
gen,
and so I think that that's something in sales that doesn't get mentioned enough, where it's, if you want to know who your ideal customer is, then you want to qualify around that, so you know whether or not you should be spending time, whether or not you can even help the person.
Exactly.
There's so many little gems that we've picked up at Rocket. Just seeing how like they go about sales, how data driven the sales are, and how much those numbers mean in terms of fulfilling the process, because mortgages are a commodity, essentially. Like, it's really hard to get a way better deal just off of the mortgage alone. It's more in the service and then how they execute. But in terms of like rates, they're much less flexible, elastic, I should say, from lender to lender. And so it's like, okay, well, how are you treating the person? How is the process, and how is that sustained over a
decades.
lot of
and now hundreds of millions of clients? But
so this one I think that you'll like. Obsessed with finding a better way.
Oh, I do like that one. I didn't think that was the one you were gonna go with, but I do like that one. I do like that one. I mean, you have to, like everything we're talking about here, right? Raising your level of awareness, making sure that you execute. Like, finding a better way is always on the table. Doing something a little bit better is always on the table, and so you have to be obsessed with that. Even as a founder, you have to be obsessed with that. Otherwise, what are you building? Something that's worse?
It always has to be in your mind. And that's like the whole thing with the whole work-life thing, where in certain jobs you can just turn it off. But when being a founder, doesn't mean always acting and sitting behind a keyboard, or always being out, or always being on the phone. But it means being obsessed with what you're building.
And being open to those things that it might come in those off times. Where you don't expect it because you're not hands-on keyboard. It's like, no, like being open to that is the only way, like you said, being obsessed with that stuff is how you find those opportunities.
And that's that itch that he talks about. He's like, builders will build no matter what. And at that point, it's just a matter of time until you find something that clicks, that resonates with what you're building. But that obsession, the always having that thing in view, I think is important. And especially around the orientation of a better way.
100%. And I honestly, like, these isms we could do a whole nother episode on these isms. So maybe let's give them like one or two more, and then we'll wrap this up, because I kind of want to do like a full episode.
Okay. And I think they'll also come out too, like as we're talking and linking this stuff up. Okay, so the next one we have here is yes before no.
I like that one. I do like that one. Again, another one that's pretty weaponized in the corporate culture, but it's leading with a sense of like, we can try that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to immediately say, no, that's not going to work, or no, I don't like that. It's like, try and lean towards that yes mentality, so that, you can find those inches that are everywhere around you, and, find the better ways that are probably right in front of you, but you're closed down to them by saying no first.
Yeah. Yes before no. Again, yeah. A lot of these things take discernment.
Yes.
But
there's nuance there.
But there is like a level of truth. And I think also when you look at it after, you start to see that it speaks to an impulse in human nature that can slow down business.
Yes.
And like lead to a worse off culture. So
yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yes. Yeah, most people will be like, nah, I'm not doing that shit. Nah, I'm not doing that. So just pausing for a second and being like, well, let me listen.
Yeah.
To find maybe a yes. And if there's not, then you can respond accordingly. But yeah, not shutting it off right away is like super, super huge. Ignore the noise.
There's a lot of noise out there.
Especially today.
There's a lot of noise. Today.
Just being bombarded with noise. Just hitting us over the head. Boom, noise.
Humans weren't built to have all of the news all of the time, like in one app or two apps, right? Like, it's a lot. It's a lot of just information hitting you. And in the corporate environment, same thing, right? Yeah. You've got corporate politics, you've got, maybe some competitors that are kind of ruffling your feathers, but there's always going to be noise.
Headlines, and then like everything that keeps you distracted from like the main signal is pretty much noise. And so being able to not remove all that stuff and focus on the things that you need to. Part of it is also just allocating your awareness. You can be aware of everything around you, but you got to focus it on the things that need the attention the most. And it's just like a magnifying glass. When you can focus that ray of sun on a particular spot, it can cause a fire.
Yeah.
And it becomes more powerful. And so it's like the same idea with our awareness and our focus and our attention. Happens when we ignore the noise and we focus on the thing that we need to be focusing on.
Yep.
Next thing we have here is, it's not about who is right, it's about what is right.
Yeah, that's something that I don't think is practiced as much as it should be. But taking the person away from what they're saying, right? Just because Dan Gilbert's the one saying it doesn't mean it's like the truth, or it doesn't mean that he's 100% right.
Yeah, all these are wrong, by the way.
You have to separate it, right? Because people can get very into the, what would you call that? Like moving with the group think, moving with the crowd.
Yeah.
And if you start doing that, you then become a leader in an organization full of yes people.
Yeah.
But you have an idea that everyone's just like, yep, that works.
Yep, that works.
And it's
that
like,
works.
You have to kind of separate that stuff and really evaluate what's being said for what it is, and not weigh it with who's actually saying it.
And that's on both sides. You talked about it on like the yes man positive side, but then there's also things where it's maybe not a good thing. It might be a critique, or it might be a problem. It is, because it's not just about like, it's not about who is right, it's about what is right. And sometimes like you go in a tough conversation, and if you're a normal person, you might be thinking like, shit, I mean, I don't want to be the wrong person here.
Yep.
But it's like that comes, unless you catch yourself, it comes out when we're communicating with other people, like that defensiveness.
Yeah.
And I think also in the workplace where people's livelihoods are on the line, the impulse to play defensive can get in the way, and it can turn into a back and forth pointing fingers instead of pointing both fingers at the problem and just fixing it.
Right. 100%.
Yeah. And then,
do you like one more?
Yeah, let's do one more here. And this is, you'll see it when you believe it.
Ooh, that's an interesting one. All right, why do you like that one?
Because I've been just thinking a lot about how powerful belief is. And if we think about like how much we actually take in of our surroundings, like how much information we're actually taking in, it's such a small amount. I mean, I think they say that people can only process like 1% of the UV spectrum or something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
And so that's at the extreme case. But I think even when we just think about any given moment, it's like you're probably not thinking about your feet on the ground right now, or your butt on the table or on the seat,
yeah.
or all of the things that are going on around you. And so belief, I think, helps us focus our awareness and our attention, and when that happens, we can start seeing things with much more depth and detail. And so things start to reveal themselves to us. Some people call that the law of attraction, but it's like science shows that there's so much information, you can only process so much. So when we focus on things, we start to see those details, and they start to pop out at us, almost as if they're being attracted to us. And so I think this really plays a key role in business, because it goes back to what we were talking about before. Like, a lot of people will wait and be like, well, I'm not going to make this investment because it's not in front of us right now.
Yeah.
But that, to me, that's literally backwards thinking.
Yeah. If you're investing, you should be able to see the vision of where the market's going and where the product's going in that market, and say, that's where I want to put my investment dollars.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting, and because if you wait, it's going to be too late.
Yeah. And so and I think a lot of it is also like doing what you need to do to find that belief. Some people need to experience something to believe it.
Right.
Other people, using their brains, can deduce the truth in something based off of different forms of evidence, and then make a decision and play accordingly. And I think that the people that can do that, the people that aren't willfully ignorant, the people that are like to learn, do that. And you see the separation.
Oh, 100%.
Because if you have to see it to believe it, then you're already too late. Because there's somebody in the world that's already acted based off of their belief. If they saw in their mind what could happen. So yeah.
No, I mean, that's fantastic. I think this is just a small snippet, one of Gilbert's life and his amazing accomplishments, but also like the kind of culture that he brings into every meeting he gets into, or every business. So I think there's going to be another part to this, but we're going to have to go into like all these isms, because not only is it something that I think is super helpful for people to understand, it also gives, I think, everybody a good foundation of where we're coming from.
Yeah.
Because we embody a lot of these things, whether consciously or subconsciously, right?
Yeah, we are the isms.
Because we spent so much time there.
Yeah, we were definitely exposed and saw a lot of these things firsthand, both like the good and the bad, because it's like, even though you write these things down, people interpret things in their own ways, and we've seen like, okay, even a good idea can get twisted with the wrong person, but through that you see that for the large part it's mostly good and it's mostly beneficial, and it has become a clearer way to see the landscape of business and culture.
It's also like important just to do it. There's so many companies out there that won't spell out their culture for you.
Yeah.
That'll hide it behind the politics, behind the products, behind the leaders.
Yeah.
And it's like he's putting it out there and involving people in that culture. And we, I think, look to do the exact same.
Yeah. So do you want to jump over to Super Secret real quick?
I think we need to.
Yeah, let's do that. Maybe we talk a little bit more about these isms over in Super Secret. We maybe knock off a couple.
I think we will, and the only place to find that
is on Constance.
That's right.
So great talk, man.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week.
Peace.